and please identify yourself. Basically, this local law allows us, the town, to hire a zoning officer who is not a resident of Seneca Falls. So, any public comment? Anybody would like to speak to that? Okay, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Avery, second by Mrs. Dyson. Okay, public hearing is closed. Town Clerk Greer, would you please take roll call?
Hang on. Gotta catch up here. Okay, Michael Ferrara,
Here.
Don Dyson,
Here.
Doug Avery,
Here.
Dave Dewalis,
Here.
Steve Churchill.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Mike. Yep. I just saw her pull into the no parking spot. Right behind me. Right behind me. Okay, we're going to hold off for a minute for our presentation. I'm going to go to petitioners. And again, I'd like to remind petitioners or people privilege of the floor to please be respectful and keep it to 3 to 5 minutes. Our first petitioner is Janet Sumners. Is Janet here tonight? Okay. Our second petitioner is Lucille Padro. Lucille, you're here tonight. Okay. Our is off the agenda. Okay. Any people who would like to speak, privilege of the floor? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dave Bailey from Seneca Falls. My topic tonight is conspiracy theories. A conspiracy theory is an explanation for an event or situation that involves a conspiracy by sinister and or powerful groups, often political in motivation, when other explanations are more probable. The term has a negative connotation, implying that the appeal of a conspiracy is based on prejudice or insufficient information. A conspiracy theory is not simply about a conspiracy. Indeed, it refers to hypothesized conspiracy with specific characteristics, such as an opposition to the mainstream consensus among those people, such as scientists or historians, who are qualified to evaluate its accuracy. Conspiracy theories resist falsifications and are reinforced by circular reasoning. New term I learned. Both evidence against the conspiracy and an absence of evidence for it are reinterpreted as evidence of its truth, whereby the conspiracy becomes a matter of faith rather than something that can be proven or disproven. Research suggests that conspirators' ideation, a term for me, belief in conspiracy theories may be psychologically harmful or pathological, and that is correlated with psychological projection, paranoia. Here's a nice one. Machiavellianism. I don't know how many of you remember years. Psychiatrists attribute finding a conspiracy, where there is none, to a mental phenomenon called illusionary pattern perception. These definitions were taken from authors from such publications. Just to show I know my references: Political Psychology, 1994, Oxford English Dictionary, and Psychologist, PAG, etc. There were many of them. Conspiracy theories spread and indicate mistrust and encourage others to repeat these theories. On the topic of methane collection and pipeline injection, where's Jean? She's not here this time. Give me a chance to pick on her. Dairy farms produce large volumes of manure. This and other compostable materials are placed in what is called a digester to become methane gas and compost. The compost has little or no odor to it, thank goodness. The methane is extracted, cleaned, forced into specialized tankers, and transported to a site where it is injected into an interstate pipeline. Last time we got into the subject a bit, it was a bit vague on what this was, what these digesters do, where they should be fairly close to farmers involved, if not on one farm in particular. In my opinion, to compare this process to the same kind of conspiracy involving the land corps is just plain weird. This request was presented to the town board and their opinions should be respected. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't guess. Get the facts. Do your homework. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, this time we're going to go back to presentations. We have two guests here tonight. Margaret Morris, from the Mental Health Director for Seneca County, and the Honorable Senator Pam Helming is here tonight. First of all, I'd like to call on Margaret to come forward, please.
We're going to go together. It's a girl thing, yeah.
Okay.
We are here today actually on behalf of, well, I'm here on behalf of Seneca County Mental Health Department and the Seneca County Manager's Office to honor the Seneca Falls Police Department for their outstanding use of crisis intervention team skills and techniques in de-escalating individuals experiencing mental health crisis in our community. The Seneca Falls CIT officers and Seneca Falls Police Department regularly provide exemplary service to the citizens of Seneca County. I want to personally, and on behalf of the county manager for Seneca County, formally recognize their service to our community and their ongoing commitment to the Seneca County CIT program. I would also like to take this opportunity to specifically thank Chief Feenstra for his commitment and dedication to this vital program. His leadership has been instrumental in the success of the Seneca Falls and Seneca County CIT program, and I am beyond grateful. What you may not know is that having this crisis intervention team program here in our county is a result of the advocacy and support of Senator Helming, who brought the funding to our community in 2018 to do this specialized 40 hours of training. And so I've invited the Senator to speak to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to thank Chief Feenstra and everyone involved in law enforcement, and of course to you, Town Supervisor, and to the council members for all you do to support the police department. So again, Margaret, thank you for sharing this opportunity with me. I have a New York State proclamation recognizing the Seneca Falls Police Department for its outstanding service to our community and to those facing a mental health crisis. And if it's okay, Supervisor, I'd like to read part of it.
I hope you read the whole thing, Senator.
Whereas attended to such concern, I, New York State Senator Pamela A. Helming, am proud to recognize the Seneca Falls Police Department for its outstanding service to the Seneca Falls community. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, the responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of law enforcement agencies, and that members of our law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the community. And whereas Chief Feenstra was an initial member of the CIT Planning, core implementation team when it was offered to local police departments. And whereas since the crisis intervention training program started, 11 officers, including the chief, have participated to improve communication and mental health resources for their community. And whereas the Seneca Falls Police Department sent one of their own officers to the instructor training program to be able to create the self-sustaining program within the department. And whereas the Seneca Falls Police Department has taken their crisis intervention and mental health training and expanded on it by purchasing devices in order to evaluate a mental health crisis immediately with a mental health professional. And whereas Chief Peachtra and the Seneca Falls Police Department have gone above the call of duty to make sure individuals experiencing a mental health crisis can get the help they need. And whereas such service, which is truly vital for our communities and state, is deserving of our most sincere recognition, now therefore be it proclaimed that I, New York State Senator Pamela A. Helming, honor the Seneca Falls Police Department for its outstanding service to the Seneca Falls community, and be it further proclaimed that a copy of this proclamation be transmitted to Chief Peachtra and the Seneca Falls Police Department. So Chief, it's an honor. Thank you. And just quickly, I wanted to say thank you to you, Margaret, as well, for all of your efforts to coordinate and to, you're an integral part of the CIT training. Thank you so much.
I'd just like to say a couple words and thank the Senator very much, and Margaret is an integral part, definitely, of this team. I didn't know anything about CIT training prior to the Senator bringing it to this area. We went to Rochester to learn more about it, and we just embraced it from that point forward. I also want to recognize all my staff, because this is training that we go to for a week long, but it's something that you really have to craft. And go to for a week long, but it's something that you really have to craft. And my staff has taken this on, taken this serious, and I want to give them a round of applause, because those are the people out on the street. I will tell you, this training couldn't have come at a better time with mental health. Calls for services in our community in this first 6 months of this year are over 50% compared to last year. So we're definitely out there utilizing this training, crafting themselves, and developing themselves into great officers. We have Caitlin Wachowski here, who's an instructor. Bethany Kidd was here, I think. She might be on call right now. She's an instructor for our agency. This is something that the entire county has embraced and really worked hard on. It couldn't have come at a better time. So thank you again.
On behalf of the board, congratulations, Chief, your command unit, and all of your people in the rank and file for protecting our community. As we know, unfortunately, in the 21st century, mental health issues become more and more prevalent, and sometimes actual old-time policing no longer works in these situations. And on behalf of the board and the community, congratulations and thank you for making this next step. I'd also like to thank Senator Helming again for coming down to Seneca Falls. I know you're a very busy lady, and hopefully you can enjoy a few weeks off. And Margaret, thank you so much for all the things that are going on in the county. Caitlin, thank you for the training, and keep up the good work. Thank you. Waste Management Advisory Committee, organic food waste. Barb, you here?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good. Do you want?
Sure. You don't have to identify who you are.
So, well, I am Barb Reese, and I am a member of the Waste Management Advisory Committee. There's a couple of us here tonight. The committee has been working with Mike and Doug to bring phase 2, we're calling it, of our organics recycling program to residents. If you recall from the previous month, the June meeting, we talked about how we're doing a pilot project right now, organics recycling, with 4 restaurants in the town of Seneca Falls that's going very well. We were working with Natural Upcycling, the hauler who is coming to the restaurants weekly and picking up their food waste and then composting it in nearby facilities. So phase 2 is to offer residents a food waste drop-off site. And so in new business today, you will see that there's a resolution to move forward on a transfer facility for the purpose of having organics to be dropped off. So that's what will come, I think, in new business. And so that's in order for town residents to be able to drop off food waste, we have to have a registered facility. And so that's what we're taking those steps this week, hopefully, with the blessing of the town board. And also later this week, we have a meeting with zoning and other stakeholders, the DEC and our town attorney and highway. So, yes, thank you very much.
Barb, before you walk away, so the Waste Management Committee was kind of revitalized during this term of office for our folks here. Mr. Avery's been the board liaison who's been overseeing that, and it was always a goal of mine with moving forward with waste management solutions and alternative ways of doing things. And really, if we could just take a step back and understand, if we could remove organics, and I know in Seneca Falls, we're doing our part, we're moving in that direction, but if we could move the organics from landfills, we would never have an issue with anybody in the landfill or any other issue. Because as Barb will tell you, landfills are part of the waste development system, okay? But the whole idea of removing the organics, which consumes anywhere from 30 to 40% of what goes in the landfill, and that's also the part of the landfill that will eventually decompose and smell, and it would be a much better situation if statewide and nationally we could do that. But we're going to make our small imprint, and just think about it for a minute, how much food waste you generate in your household, and think about that, and if it was going someplace different than your garbage can, that's small steps at a time, and hopefully we can get to a regional center here, a transfer regional center, something that's been going on in Geneva. The committee's been working with Jacob Fox and talking to him, and at some point down the road next year, we hope to come to you and talk about that and see how this starts off on a small scale.
Until then, if you want to compost in your backyard, you can. And if you need some guidance, over by the door near, right back here, there's some green bags, and inside them, there's pamphlets that tell you about backyard composting, so you can work on that. And if you don't want to do that, hopefully you can bring your food waste to a transfer facility soon here in the town. So, thank you.
Can I ask a question? I guess it's okay. New York State said, by way of the governor, I believe, either Doug or Barb, that they were going to try to mandate that out of town, out of area cities, take care of this themselves in pretty much the same way. Has the state done anything further on that announcement?
I don't
know of
anything from the state. I do know that municipalities do. Rochester is kicking off a program very much like what we're talking about, where they're giving out canisters, and everybody, once a week, they can take it to Council Park and
There is language at the state level for this was supposedly going to be part of state mandates to have this statewide thing, but like many things that happen, Senator John.
I think January 2020.
Like many things that happened, it was, you know, strongly worded suggestions, but there's been no legislative action taking to make that happen.
And much of that was for large producers.
And that is still in the books for January of 2022, that large-scale food waste producers will have to either donate or compost their food waste.
The residential program is.
There is some movement, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Barbara, for all you do. Okay, moving to approval of minutes, can I have a motion to approve the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting of May 5th?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to approve the town board public hearing and meeting of June 1st, 2021? Second. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the town board special meeting minutes of June 7th, 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And finally, I make a motion that we approve the town board special meeting minutes of June 15th, 2021. Thank you. Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving to reports, I make a motion that we accept the dog control officer report for the month of June.
There is a number.
Okay.
That's
Slow month for the dogs? I would make the motion that we accept the, I don't know why I'm doing this one, but anyway, I make a motion we accept the zoning officer's report for the month of June. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
Any questions for Dick? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Dyson,
I make a motion that we accept the Parks and Recreation report.
second that. Any questions for Missy?
The leaks that have been identified in the business department, are those the leaks or are there still more leaks?
I think there's multiple leaks underneath the gutter, so all the way around.
Right, you mentioned that here.
Some of them are larger, and those we're going to repair as soon as they get the cost ordered or in. And then the other leaks in the fall or after the pool closes, they'll drain it enough so that they can go in and like blast or remove all that layer below the gutter and then re-caulk that whole area. And then they'll caulk along the top as well so the water doesn't leak down. It's all kind of falling apart
The
there.
leaking has been going on for a couple of years now. Is that it?
They think so. They seem to think that's a big part of it because when they temporarily clogged the larger leaks, the leak did stop. The larger holes, the leak did slow down significantly. But it needs
And we
to be
did that
done.
professionally, right, Missy?
We're going to, yes. Yep.
And the pool is open and
Pool's open and
Operating.
oh wow, looks
That means
good.
that particular concern came with a smaller price tag than we thought.
Yes.
Good.
That being said, I think eventually the floor will need to be replaced because it still peels up and, you know, is cracking and, you know, but if that's not the
No, I
main
know we're not.
part of the leak, then that's good. So that should solve that problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
any other questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Avery, Highway Superintendent, or Highway Department. Superintendent is not here tonight.
I move we accept the monthly report of the highway supervisor as submitted.
Second. Oh, thanks, Don.
I think the big thing that everybody sees out there at this time of year is all the paving that's going on, so and that's well underway. The road's been built, a lot of paving has been done already. The sidewalk project, I think we can discuss later, but that's going well. So the typical summer thing for the highway department, they're well underway. So his report you don't see, but it's other than, the paving and so on. It's a lot of the ordinary summer things, mowing and so forth.
Okay. If there's no questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Churchill, Assessor's Office.
Yeah, I move that we approve the assessor's report as presented. Second.
Any questions for Councilman Churchill or Debbie? Okay. I'm still waiting on a final proposal for the townwide rebale. Okay. They've had some personal issues going on, but he promised me he would get something to me with the idea that it's possible we could start, even though we would be paying until the budget season 2022, to possibly get started on the work in late fall, late fall or winter. But that's still up in the air. We're still got to get that committed. Okay. Attorney Morale?
So at the sorry?
Did I forget?
Motion to.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, we had a motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you. Aye. Thank you.
So just that within the last month, at the last board meeting, the board approved having Boylan Code and David Howe handle the appeal on the Kivia Indian Nation against the town regarding our local law regarding parking. So that was approved at last month's board meeting, and within the last month that brief that had been prepared has been filed with the state. So that has been completed. So the next time we'll hear about this will be when the court schedules it, either for, if there's going to be oral argument, we'll let you know when that comes up. That'll probably be in the fall. So otherwise, nothing else, nothing further to report.
Okay. And, yeah, we got it. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on. Okay, Councilman Avery, Water and Sewer, please.
Move we accept the monthly report from the Water and Sewer Department as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilman Avery or Mr. Tulo? Joe, anything to add? All good? Okay, replacing some water lines tomorrow, I see, on West Barrett Street. And some old galvanized piping, correct?
Old galvanized piping, taking the lead surface out of the system.
Okay. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman DeLeas, Town Justice Report.
Make a motion to accept the report as submitted.
Second.
Any questions for Councilman DeLeas or, any questions for Councilman DeLeas?
Later on in the night, our clerks looking to go to mandatory training in September. We'll be voting on it later.
And I'm assuming your committee is recommending that we go forward with that?
Yes.
I'll ask now before we get there, is it mandatory that all three clerks have to go?
Only once a year, so.
No.
All the other clerks are doing the same thing.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Councilman DeLeas, Public Safety Report.
Make a motion to accept the report as submitted by the police chief. We have a couple things on going on later.
Later on. Yep. We might move that up right now, but let's go over the report. Any questions for Chief Veenstra? And again, Chief, congratulations. Well done, and I know it's because of your leadership that most things are moving forward. We appreciate everything you guys do. Any questions for Chief Veenstra? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is it illegal, inappropriate, if I jump to one item in new business without finishing up?
That's your agenda.
It's my agenda. In the spirit of in the spirit of allowing our police force to get on with life, I'd like to jump over to one item in new business, and that would be, I'll just have to find it for a moment. That'd be letter H, resolution to backfill vacant position. Just gonna give me a minute so I can get to it, please.
Here. Where's the end?
Thank you, sir. I have a resolution, whereas during the May 4th, 2021 board meeting, the town board approved promoting Sergeant Clear and to begin recruiting to appropriately backfill the now vacant patrol position created by his promotion. Whereas since the May 4th board meeting, the Seneca Falls Police Department has been actively recruiting, interviewing, and conducting background investigations for a lateral police officer transfer replacement. Whereas the recommendation of the Police Chief, Public Safety Committee, and Personnel Committee to backfill this position with lateral transfer Matthew L. Mix. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board accept backfilling the vacant full-time position with Officer Matthew L. Mix. Therefore, be it further resolved, due to Matthew L. Mix's previous service with the New York State Park Police, I'm recommending that Officer Mix start at his service year 1 of the contract at $25.13 per hour. And a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Is Officer Mix here?
Officer Mix is here with his wife.
Hi.
Come on up, man.
Welcome. I just want to, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, okay? It has nothing to do with your ability or your appointment, okay? So I would ask that you don't take it personal, okay? And it's nice to meet you and welcome to Seneca Falls, okay? These are questions for the committee and the police chief, okay? So please don't take it personal. Okay. So the committee is recommending that we move forward with this position, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay. Chief, have we looked at the different scenarios of not filling the position?
We have.
Okay. And what are the consequences of not filling the position?
The consequences of not filling the position is not being able to provide the adequate police services that we're being asked to do. We're being asked to do all sorts of different things, between monitoring certain roadways at certain times, to mental health services, to our calls for service, to property checks, all these different things that we're trying and being told to do in different ways and different times. We just possibly can't do them without adequate personnel. The personnel that we have currently, there's 17 full-time officers. That is the bare minimum we need to provide good police services for this town.
Where were we prior to dissolution? Do you remember?
It varied a lot. Off the top of my head, there was times when the village had upwards of 17 police officers. There was times where at one point, I think, if I remember right, they were down to 12 or 13. So the village was, I think, like 4 square miles. We're 27.4 square miles in the town. We go all the way down to the lake, Fayette, all the way to the village of Waterloo. We have a large area with a large call volume. I shared some statistical data with the town board that I'm not going to share with everybody because it has statistics from other agencies that it's not going to do that. But as you guys can see, we're a very busy police department. I've been telling you that, and I just kind of wanted to show you some figures as to what I've been saying.
And obviously we've been down an officer for a few months. How are we filling that up at the current time? Backing it up with overtime?
Yeah, so my goal was we get this position backfilled, is to move some people around, create a shift that can overlap. So during our busiest periods of the day, from about 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., on the weekends from 1 p.m. to 1 a.m., we're going to have this overlapping shift. We'll also be there to cover when people take vacations, for training, all these other different things, when people are pulled out of the schedule. But ultimately, it's to provide public safety for all the demands we're being asked to do.
Any other questions? Yeah, so this is essentially creating a new position.
No.
I mean,
We created a new position with the sergeant's position, so we're backfilling with.
but the net gain through this whole thing is that there is an additional full-time employee being added to the force. My question is this.
That's physically working, yes.
We obviously have, we can't get into names, but I think everyone, we have one position that a town on disability has been for a very, very long time, and we're trying to come to some resolution on that, but.
Well, along with this, will this require that we purchase an additional car?
No. No. The goal is to maintain 17 full-time police officers, as I spoke of before, and that's what we're doing. We're not going above and beyond the amount of people that are physically in the car.
But we have enough vehicles to accommodate everybody.
Yes.
Councilman Avery?
As long as I've been on the board, it's been pretty much automatic. If there's an opening, we fill it. There's an opening, we fill it. And I just want to say, moving forward, if we want to accomplish with the budget what we want to do over the next 4 years, from this point, it can't be automatic. It's going to have to be, if you lose an officer, it's going to be, can we see our way clear to replace him? We have to start with that conversation. I realize this was a whole thing that was already in motion, and I'm willing to support the new officer. But going forward, the dialogue has to be given if we're going to do what we want to do, what we need to do. I think you brought enough for everybody.
I did that, I'm sorry. It's only three of those. And I 100% agree with you, and that's why I think it's important that we ask the questions.
I will tell you, in order to meet the high level demands that we're being asked to do, this is their thing of that. And I'll make that argument. And, the graphs and information that I provided the board should show you exactly what I'm doing. I'm not just saying these things.
Okay, thank you. So we have a resolution to fill the position and a second in discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Officer Mix. Welcome. With me? Yeah, sure. Okay. Where am I? Right there, you're good. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go back over to reports. Peter. I guess, yeah, I think I'm Peter. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the town engineer report for the month of June. Do you have a second for that? Thank you. Peter.
Pretty quiet month. We're advancing the projects we're working on. Really no special actions. We'll be meeting, I think, in a couple of days to move on the physical advisor to kind of work through some of the financing mechanisms for the two projects that are being advanced and continue to grow next year. So, any questions? I can really not.
You were on the invite list for Thursday, right?
Yeah. Me or Bob?
Pardon?
I come me or Bob. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You saw my email?
Yeah.
Dave, you saw my email on that? All right. Any questions for Peter? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. I make a motion we accept the grant writing services report for the month of June. Have a second, please. Thank you. Emily.
Hi.
writing grants. As you might remember, the Green Innovation Grant Program, which was for water meters, that is being resubmitted, so we're working on that now. It came out at the end of the year last year, and it came out again in the CFA, which that is the state's way of putting out grants from May to the end of July. Also, the town is going to be applying for a local waterfront revitalization plan grant, and this was recommended by, with the work that was done with the DRI and the state agencies that have been working and partnering with the town. They made some recommendations on grants to apply for, and a local waterfront revitalization plan is a good one. It's going to tie in all the things that are going on to make it as successful as possible. And then the third one was a Canal Way grants program, and there will be resolutions on that as well, and those are due 3 weeks from Friday. So, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. We have some resolutions later on in the new business to move all this forward. And,
Mike?
yes, sir.
Emily?
Yep.
Federal government had this infrastructure and everything out there. They're going to be grants, or you know how they're going to be working on it?
I'm going to try to find my crystal ball. I think it's, I just, well, the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Recovery Plan Act, we are seeing communities that turned in, you guys had to provide some updated information on the budget. This was all the money that municipalities are getting. It's based on population, and it's split into 2 years. And then there's 4 categories that money can go into. I'm happy to meet with you guys on that if you want some more information. But you should be looking out for an email. We should be getting that soon, and it will tell you about the 30 days to get that money into your account. So that's federal funding through the American Rescue Plan Act. The infrastructure bill, I can't really tell. Maybe it's because I'm wearing sneakers today, but yeah, that one, I mean, they just keep going back and forth. It was supposed to be maybe something coming out this week, but I mean, we're not going to see it for a little while. I think something will come out. It just depends what kind of political baseball.
Thank you.
You got it.
What Emily mentioned, ARPA, so again, out of Bev's office, Bev and Sarah and Cassandra, we've been working together. They've been doing most of the work. But anyway, our application is in, and it's all been accepted and approved and so forth. So I received notification today. Seneca Falls will be receiving $880,301. $880,301. Half of that will come now, and they will hopefully deposit it in my checking account. But it'll be electronically transferred to the town's account, and then the other half will come in 2022. Okay? At that point, sometime down the road, we're going to need to have a discussion as to, there is a broad range of how you can use the money. Okay? Initially, it was for expenses occurred during COVID-19, which we incurred many expenses, but it can be used for water improvement, it can be used for other infrastructure types of things, et cetera, et cetera. It can't be used for tax relief. It has to be earmarked, it has to be documented. Bev's office will have to kind of follow that along for the next year. Okay, Councilman Avery, Seneca Falls Development Corporation.
Monthly, it's just a monthly update. Really 2 things on their plate. One is the public market that I've talked about before, which is well underway every Tuesday from 3 o'clock until dusk. It's full over their vendors, mostly food, which is what we wanted, produce, which is what we want from the farmer's market. They've got, I guess, some craft things along the way. So that's going well underway. Lou Florenzetti is managing. And then the second thing is the statue that's coming later this summer. That's going to be temporarily housed over near the 3 Women statue. And the reason it's temporary is because the permanent site will be right up over here in People's Park, opposite the Women's Hall of Fame, but the DRI project is so comprehensive for what's going to have to happen right there that it was decided the prudent thing to do would be to temporarily, for probably a year and a half to 2 years, create a site for it over next to the other statue. When the DRI work is done on this all these North Shore improvements, then it'll be moved to its final. So that's the update. All of those expenses were covered by the foundation that's donating the statue. And there will be a dedication somewhat time in the fall, so just stay tuned. I think groundbreaking on site preparation, but there's been some minor site preparation things going on, but I think groundbreaking is this week to actually start to get ready to receive the statues.
And the operative word is, it's temporary site. Okay. And the other operative word is, or phrase is that this project was commissioned from the federal government, and they came to the community and they were in total agreement with the secondary site and the primary site. So they've been here, they've seen it, they approved it, it's completely funded through that grant, and so hopefully we'll see the ripples of change coming up here in September. And I don't know if the statue's up, Doug, or in place downtown. The miniature statues, I don't know if they got out there yet.
I know that they came last week. There's a miniature version that was going to be displayed downtown. I don't know if that's happening.
Okay. All right. Any other committee reports? I'm going to hold on. We continue the budget committee with Mr. Jones and Susan Porter and Deb and myself continue to meet. We have provided the board with some multiple scenarios, and at the end of new business, I'll be asking for some direction. We're going to try to do this process a little earlier than the past years. We'll talk about that when we get up to that. Nicholas, your town clerk career, we have some communications. Okay, have a motion to accept the communications, please, for the month of June.
Second.
Thank you. Letter from New York State Department of State. Letter from New York State Department of Transportation. Minutes of special board meetings. Minutes. And some check deposits totaling $77,647.14 from different accounts. All in favor, please say aye.
Just a question first.
Yeah,
The two
sorry.
that are about speed limits, Noble Road and George Road. So the state, I've just never been seeing this process. The state has said it's fine with them.
Yes,
I'm asking.
but we can't put up signs until they send us the final order. But they have approved that the speed limit should be reduced.
Reduce speed limits on Noble Road from 89 to the lake and George Road.
Correct. In George Road, the biggest thing there was that we had to repave it last year because it was killed with snowplows. It's not a heavily residential area. Actually, there's only 2 houses down the road. But there's a big curve on George Road. And when the repaving came, so did the shortcuts. And the resident asked us to try to get that reduced. And it takes an act of Congress, but finally here getting approval a year later.
Thank you.
Okay. Old business. Town Attorney Morrell, how are we doing?
So 115 Fall Street, we're going to carry that over till the next meeting. Hopefully I'll have some better news for you next month and get that transferred. But you will all know when that happens.
Is there something holding it up? Is it the condo?
Well, that's...
I got to tell you, I get a not so nice email on a regular basis from the potential buyer and the real estate agent.
I get one too from the
And that's part of it. And then the other part of it is that just trying to handle properly, dealing with the dissolution of the village. It is titled as a village right now, and getting that into a deed so that the chain title is clear for the buyers. And I'm been working with our title company, and so it's just a unique situation that most people in the state haven't had to deal with, and so that's just taking some time.
Well, we're paying about $5,000 a month. Is it, well, should I move? I was thinking about making it my office. Do I have time to do that, or do you think it'd be a waste of time moving stuff over?
I think it would be a waste of time to move stuff over. Point taken.
All right. Any progress on town demands related to SMI?
So we're in the process, and right now we're at the point of moving that to an alternative dispute resolution as called for in our dispute agreement. And so I've been working with David Howe, who represents the town and matters like that, in trying to put together a proposal with what a alternative dispute resolution would look like for this purpose. It can take many forms, and it can be as complicated as you want it to be, but we're trying to get a fairly straightforward process together so we can move forward with that. So that's what's been happening in the last month.
Thank you. Seneca Falls government efficiency. There was a special meeting on June 30th with the Citizens Advisory Committee and the town board. There was a motion at that night that directs me to reach out to CGR and discuss with them a study, but not as extensive as it was originally when we did an RFP. And so the committee wants to use CGR, and so I reached out last Thursday. Based on the holiday weekend, they are not working, and tomorrow I'll have a phone conversation with them, and we'll try to get this moving forward. There'll be something in the works coming up. And a watered down version, less expensive version. So once we hear back from CGR as far as the pricing and so forth, then we'll have a resolution in front of the board to complete the expenditure. Okay, new business, approval of special events. Have a motion for that, please? We don't have any. I thought we had.
Oh, we do, yeah.
Huh?
I do have some.
I thought we had some.
Yeah, we do. Two of them are on July 18th. It's a Sunday. And the first one is called Ride the Rails Train Ride, and that's sponsored by the Historical Society and the Women's Rights National Park. And they want to do 3 90-minute train rides from Academy Square across the lake and back. That starts at 11, 1, and 3. I have all the paperwork, all their insurance and everything in their permits or in their applications. The second one is the Grand Tour, it's called, and that is sponsored by FL Excursion and Geneva Community Projects. And they want to do a tour of the Finger Lakes, not stopping at wineries, but stopping at different locations, and then having wine tastings by different wineries come to them. Their last stop they want to do at the bandstand at 5:15 at night. And so they would have wine there. They think they might have up to 150 people, but I don't think it'll be that big. They've only got a few people signed up so far, so depending on how many buses they get, it's all going to be bused, so they would have potentially 3 bus loads. And they have sent all their paperwork to me, Sheriff, the Chief, and everybody else.
What's the date of that?
They're both on July 18th, it's a Sunday.
They're both.
Yeah.
And Mitch and I went back and forth on them. We do have an alcohol provision in our special events. They have to have the proper paperwork, the proper licensures, and so forth and so on. So Missy and I went back and forth with that, and I'm assuming you have all that?
I have it all. I'll give you all copies of that. And, yeah, it's like $25 to ride the rails, and it's got all that information here for us. And I think,
Great.
yeah.
All in favor of approving those two special events, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. Have a resolution introducing proposed local law after our public hearing. I don't need it. Okay. Whereas the public hearing was duly held on July 6, 2021, the Town of Seneca Falls Community Center, and all parties in attendance were given an opportunity to speak on behalf of or in opposition to said proposed local law. Whereas after due deliberation, the Town Board of the Town of Seneca Falls finds in its best interest of the town to adopt said local law. Now therefore it be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Seneca Falls hereby adopts said local law number 7 of 2021 entitled Local Law Amending to Supersede New York State Public Officers Law Section 3 and 30 to provide the residency, for residency of the Town and Zoning Code Enforcement Officer, a copy of which is attached here too and made a part of this resolution. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and the local laws of the town of Seneca Falls, and give due notice in the adoption of said local laws to the Secretary of the State of New York. That's a second for that, please.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pat, is there any way to amend this so that the local law would only be in place for the duration that Dick is here? In other words, if he left, it would go back to the way it was?
No. This is dealing with position, it's not dealing with a specific person.
So,
There need to be an action
local law at that time.
in order to reverse a local law, you need to do another local law.
Thank you.
We have these, assuming we pass this tonight, we have this and
I'm sorry?
those, the two that we've done are our town attorney, right, for David Foster. And then we already have.
Well, but we don't have the position of town attorney any longer.
Right.
No. So you'd have to have a resolution to create the position of a town attorney.
I know they're not the same.
It was a dark period. He's the under.
Any other questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Dick, congratulations, you're official assistant.
Can't leave.
Yeah.
No, you gotta rescind all those violations.
I have a resolution here, attendance at annual conference and training, Seneca Falls Town Court. Be it resolved that the Town Board approve the Seneca Falls Town Court clerk's attendance at the 41st annual NICEMEC annual court conference and training. The mandatory training and conference will run from September 12th to the 15th and will be held in Albany, New York. The cost of registration, lodging, meals, and mileage of the conference and training will not exceed $3,037.76. Have a second for that?
Second.
Discussion. So, Dave, to the best of your knowledge, it's mandatory that all three go. Part-time? How can the, part-time? Good question. You know that answer?
Last I caught the choice left when they all
Yeah,
three
it was
had.
fine. Ashley and
Theoretically, the one person there is not supposed to be full-time.
there is one, no.
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
my name.
Right. I'm not mentioning any names, okay? I'm just saying, but that's a whole nother story that I keep asking and I don't get any answers about. That we're paying her full-time, and she's the third person going on the conference. Right? Nikki?
What did you say? Did I say three?
It doesn't say three, but I asked, and you confirmed, Dave, that all three are going.
I'm not sure, but I think Eileen is going to take this one.
I don't think so. She's the judge down there, she's not a clerk. My understanding, I verified it today, all three are going.
It
And we're paying for all three.
Budgeted.
It is what it is.
You know, a lot of things are budgeted. Actually, there's $5,050 in the budget for educational purposes. Something to think about, folks. That's all. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? I'm opposed.
You need to think about his budget now.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. I have a resolution here to add June 19th, also known as Juneteenth, as a paid holiday for all non-union town employees, whereas Juneteenth is a holiday celebrating the emancipation of those enslaved in the United States, and whereas the date June 19th has been designated as a public holiday by New York State and now included in the list of public holidays set forth in General Construction Law 24, and whereas the date has been approved by the Congress and signed into law by the President in June of 2021 as a national holiday, resolved that the Board of Seneca Falls has established June 19th, Juneteenth as a paid holiday for non-union employees beginning in 2022. Have a second for that, please? Second. Thank you. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Again, I want to make that clear, it's non-union. That would be something that would be negotiated with the police department and the command union when negotiations open up. Okay, so I got the budget modifications. Security cameras, thank you. We have no other. So letter F is the security cameras that I've mentioned to you a couple times in the special meeting. We have all the pricing for it. This is for the Veterans Bridge embankment down below, where we keep getting graffiti and we keep cleaning it, and they keep getting it, and we keep cleaning it. It also is, you know, potentially a place where some things are happening that they're smarter than we are at the moment. But bottom line is to do the project correctly, get electricity there to run the cameras and eliminate the battery operated cameras, et cetera, et cetera. Between the cameras and the electricity, the cameras are about $7,000, the electricity is about $13,000. We're looking at about $20,000 expenditure to move forward with that project.
Electricity, you got electricity there, light bulbs.
I'm not an electrician, Dave. I know there's electricity. I don't know, okay? Stu met with Frank Carzola, as did Jim Peterson. They looked at it, where it's got to go. There's electricity there, but you just can't pull it out of the air. Wires have got to be run, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know the details of where the, you know, how it's all going to get hooked up. I can only tell you that the estimate was $13,000.
Well, you spend $150 in labor and paint. You do a lot of labor and paint for $20,000 too.
I don't disagree with it. I just want to, you know, I know it's a concern. We had some people here, the Girl Scouts and other people, and I just, you know, want to, I'm bringing the facts to you. I'm not, you know, if you want to make a motion to spend it, somebody can make the motion, or if you want more information, I don't know what else to give you. That's all I have.
Right now, there's no motion on the table.
No motion on the table.
I move that we spend up to $20,000 on security cameras.
Okay, and I think we got to add to that motion, Doug, that would, money would have to come from someplace. Right, Bev? So we got to add to the motion, the money would be moved from the contingency fund, correct? I'm taking that as a yes. So that has to be part of the motion, that would, money would come from the contingency fund up to $20,000. Okay, got a motion? I will second the motion. Discussion.
I just, it's our space. I think we've got to be able to, we can't, yes, we can repaint it, but, you know, the next night they're back to spray painting again.
I'll say this, camera systems don't cost $1,000. You're not putting in 12 or 16 cameras. They just don't cost that much money. I have 8 camera system, which is probably 2 years old, that I will donate to the town. Now, if we don't spend the $20,000, I would like to look at this a little bit closer. I think we could do this, we could put together a solution that's a whole lot less. I'll donate to the camera system.
Are they battery operated?
Nope.
No, they're powered, electrically powered.
They came out of Seneca White Beer facility down at the depot, when they turned that over to, when they successfully moved it out.
Is compatibility an issue?
No, not really. You know, it may not be exactly the same as some of the camera systems that we have today, but I'm sure not all the camera systems we have today are the same camera system. Every year they change. But essentially they're browser based, so as long as you can get in to the system via your cell phone or a computer, then you
Would it be compatible to
it could be set up.
our current system that we have for the community center there and so forth?
Well, yeah, like it's compatible. You get to these video camera systems today via a computer. So the answer to that is yes, you would be able to get to this via computer. It could also be set up to send out alerts in the event that, of course, anytime anybody walks down there, they can trigger alerts. So you have to kind of be cautious how you set those up. Or perhaps during certain periods of time, you may want to get those alerts. But $20,000 would be an absolute gross waste of taxpayer. We can do it for a lot less. We have Wi-Fi right there in the water tower that we can tap into. We can get those services right now for free. So power is about the only thing that we need. Buy a router, get supply some power. There's options there. We could might be able to put a solar panel on it if we don't want to tap into it. It's not $20,000. So I would like to.
Well, that's why I said up to, because I have questions about the power.
Yeah,
Right, it would be up to, it would be 20.
I would like
Right
to-
now.
I mean, I suppose we could approve it.
Well,
I just don't want to go with the solution. Well, I guess what I'm proposing is that we don't go with, you don't go with the folks that are proposing that it's going to cost us something.
okay.
Let me come up with an alternative solution.
Just to advise you, part of the issue was where the cameras would be located on, so that was a challenge as well. The location of the cameras, so they're not vandalized themselves. They're going to have to go up underneath the bridge. Obviously, you need something to get up on underneath that bridge. I think that's why the pricing was a little higher. The power has to come from one of the lights on the bridge, conduit down through underneath the bridge, and it's fairly high up, so it's not just sticking a step ladder up there and climbing up there. I think that's what drove some of the cost up. And then, the cameras that would go in every different direction down there to capture northeast.
So if I heard you correctly, you would facilitate this, or
Yeah, I'd like
you
to
would,
like.
if you can work with Chief and you
come up
can put
with
you in contact with
solid
those.
Can we get the electrical work too?
I don't see how you bypass the electrical work, but
No,
you
no,
could
bid.
come.
Bid. I know Carazola's our electrician, but
You can do it out
this is a fairly big job.
Well, let's
You would have the ability to do that. I think for tonight's purposes, I don't want to put my words in your mouth, but it sounds like this would be a motion to table to seek, additional information.
So Steve, you're going to make the motion to table?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor of the motion to the resolution to, for the cameras, please say aye. This is the motion table. Please say aye. 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 Okay. So, back to this. Can we go out and get bids?
So I'd have to take a look and see what our agreement is with Carzola. I know we basically have them on call, so to speak, for little jobs, but this is more of an undertaking. I suppose that I'll have to see what the terms of our particular agreement are.
Okay.
But that's not.
So would you let Steve know
Sure.
that? Okay. I also mentioned that we have limited number of defibrillators in the town. So let me put it in motion and then we can discuss that. I'd like to make a motion that we purchase defibrillators for Vincent's Park, the town office side of the town offices, water and sewer, excuse me, highway department building, and the wastewater treatment plant building at a cost of $1,800 per defibrillator.
Is there one in this building?
There's one in the rec center. That's my motion. Can I have a second for that, please?
How about Vincent Park? Yeah, Vincent Park, water and sewer, highway,
Town
Town office,
Please have one.
and a portable defibrillator for our summer programs. They're all over the place.
Number water plant.
Pardon me?
Water, sewer, water plant.
In talking with Joe, there's only usually one person there at a time anyway, so if that poor person goes, then they might not help. Hopefully the town of Fayette Police Department responds quickly. Did I get a second or no? Second. Thank you. Discussion. I'm really amazed, to be honest with you, in the 21st century that we don't have these in place already. We do have one here at the community center that Missy and I have talked and was updated, but it really, you hope you never need one, but I got to tell you, if you do, it saves lives. And I can only talk from personal experience, not my own personal, but at the country club, we, first week after I purchased one for the country club, we actually used it and saved a life down there, type of thing. Again, I think it's something you never really want to do or have to do, but I think it's well worth the expenditure to do it.
So we're looking at how many and how much?
Water,
About 10 grand. Silo, 1,800, plus the portable, probably a little more.
and again, that motion should be, well, that we have some things that all come out of contingency, correct? Either Vince's Park and...
Well, Vince's Park doesn't have contingency, I have to send them over.
Okay. Water and sewer does, right? And, yeah, everything else is the general fund. So that expenditure would come out of the contingency budget. Any further questions or discussion?
So what is the
Total
total?
Chief, do you remember off the top of your head? They average about 1,800?
Yeah, that includes the case that hangs on the wall, the infant key, so if there's an infant that is in cardiac arrest, you have to put a different keyway in before you shop. So, and these are on state bid too. Below state bid price, I should say.
So let's just say not to exceed $8,300. I think that would cover it. Okay. 5 of them times 1,800. Right? Am I doing the math right? No, 9,000. I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing the math. $9,300. That's why I had you come to the meeting.
I would just say round out.
I'm sorry?
Round it off.
Round it off, 10,000. Okay, not to exceed 10,000. Okay, that's in the resolution. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Mike, do people have to be trained with those?
Yes. I think we have staff at Vincent's Park trained. Dick is an EMT person. Obviously, the police force, we have to get, you're trained? Okay. So definitely, and I would recommend that we get a couple more people trained. My certification has elapsed, but I was trained, so I just need to recertify. And we'd have to get a couple of guys at water and sewer to find out.
They're trained.
Huh?
They're up to date.
Well, up to date to run a defibrillator, though, there's a special thing there. There's some training there that goes along
I was
with.
in the same training as the guys.
So once we get them, I think we can facilitate with the police department and maybe get some people some exposure?
So obviously, all of us are trained, but we do have one trainer in the department, so we would have to facilitate him training the rest of the town employees. But and then there's yearly training, yearly or bi-annual training that needs to take place to keep up with it as well. But it's important.
Yep.
I took it as a teacher, it was just awful. So, when they come, well, we've got 5 of them, we're training. The more the merrier, obviously, mine is a lab student.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Can you start that process for me as far as the
Yeah. Did we figure out how many we want to buy?
We want 4 permanent ones and one more. Thank you. The resolution here, whereas it's been determined that a Panasonic Toughbook CF-31 laptop in one of our marked patrol vehicles is far exceeded its average life expectancy, whereas the police department relies heavily on the vehicle laptops for many reasons, most importantly communication with Seneca County E91, whereas the purchase of the new Panasonic semi-rugged Toughbook 5 on state bid is $2,395, whereas it seems appropriate and recommended by the police chief to replace the existing computer with a new unit. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board approve the purchase of one Panasonic semi-rugged Toughbook 55 from Telrepco at the state bid price of $2,395. Money to the new computer will come out of the police department equipment budget line A3120-200. A second for that, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions there?
you have the specs on that?
Laptop? I mean, is that kind of,
Yep.
I just want to make sure you get your money worth. Yeah, looks good.
Okay, all in favor of that one, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a resolution here in support of a registration of a solid waste management facility, whereas the town waste management advisory committee is pursuing the creation of an organic waste collection program for the town, whereas the town board of the town of Seneca Falls supports the efforts of the waste management advisory committee, whereas this initiative will require permits in compliance with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation regulations and guidelines, including the potential registration as a solid waste management facility. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Seneca Falls authorize the supervisor, who put that in there, to execute any necessary documents such as plans, applications, to further the efforts of the Waste Management Advisory Committee in pursuing an organic waste collection program and ensuring compliance with the New York State DEC. I owe you one. It's I owe you. You get the chairs? I owe you. Have a second for that one, please.
Second. So this is the follow-up to Bob Reese's presentation earlier today. She talked about basically it's the town giving their blessing to what the Waste Management Advisory Committee has been doing and is proposing to do with the organic waste collection, and authorizing the supervisor to execute the necessary documents on behalf of the town moving forward.
I just want everybody to understand I'm 100% in favor of all this, but I mentioned a couple of months ago, we've got to be careful what you ask for. Something might have an effect on the highway or the highway department, the highway property, not collecting, open for residents to bring their garbage up there. That might have that effect, okay?
Well, will it or won't it? Because we need to know.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we talked, first of all, the problem that we've encountered is that even though what we're talking about is a garbage tote, a large garbage tote, similar to what you as a town resident have, if you live in what used to be the village, that becomes, if we put that somewhere and people are bringing their organic waste, that becomes, those 4 or 5 square feet becomes a transfer station. So we're going to talk first about getting that registered. But I think long-term, and also we need to look at, as far as our long-term waste management policies and goals to getting that space registered. But our first goal is to get these 4 or 5 square feet registered wherever we decide to put it. So, and we'll do that without the other initially, if we can do that. I think we need to do the other long-term as well.
Yeah, but if it ends up impacting the other, essentially, potentially shutting it down, is that, do we really want to pursue that?
Well, except that right now, we basically, that's sound blunt, but we're running a transfer station, and it's not recognized by the DEC.
So it's just gonna.
So let's get it, so if, again, I'm talking about.
You either got to do them all or none.
Maybe, not if one is.
But then you're running the risk of exposing the other.
That's true.
One or the other. And so the question is, do we want to run that risk? Are we prepared to run that risk right now?
That's part of the conversation. Barb?
Barb, relax, buddy.
Hi. I jumped out of my seat. May I speak?
Absolutely.
Okay. So when we came forward to do this, to pick up food waste, the reason why we got the DEC involved is because we were not able to do it as an exemption. We would have to register this facility because what's happening is, according to the DEC, you would only be exempt with food waste collection if the food waste that you're collecting was picked up by the end of the next business day. And since we don't have any place to process the food waste, we're at the mercy of the hauler that we're using, who comes once a week. So the reason why we have to do a registration and actually do paperwork with the DEC and not be exempt is because we want to pick up food waste, have food waste dropped off and have it be picked up on a weekly basis. And that's why we need a registration and not an exemption. And so when we were doing this, I was asked to do it legally, to do it by the law and the DEC. And so it seems to me that we should do everything by the law. So that's why this is happening.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that there could be an adverse effect. I'm not saying I don't know why the highway department, I don't know the legalities, that started way before my time. You know, it could be perfectly fine what's going on there, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And it's a moot point anyway, because in 4 years, that won't be available service for our residents anyway, because if the landfill is closed, then that service wouldn't be, right now, we bring it to the landfill at no charge. If the landfill's closed, that's not going to happen anymore. So it'll be a moot point in 4 years anyway.
And the facility, when you register a facility, you have to be transparent about all the materials that you're accepting. And that's why we have a meeting scheduled on Thursday this week to talk about what materials we're taking and if they're exempt or not. They might very well be exempt, and that's why it's going on the way it's going on. So we might just be fine. I don't know if that helps at all.
As you said, Steve, as you said, I mean, it's possible that the DEC would shut that down until we get it registered. I'm hoping
That's
not.
not their intention, no.
Pardon?
I don't think that's their intention.
I don't think that's their intention either. I think they'd rather have us registered than running it behind their back. So not that they're gonna, clap their hands for us either, but I think if we can't do the other all by itself, when it comes to getting this space that we've been operating registered, it needs to be registered anyway. And if we lose it for a month, then so be it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
So I'm good with this, and what we pursue is making the whole area white, not just trying to do the composting. a questionable facility. We need to,
And I guess we could ask that question now.
Well, except that depending on where we put that, they're two different sites. So we can do them together, but they're,
well, right now you're proposing to do it over town hall.
but not within, not.
My guess is two separate types of permits, my guess.
And
One would be for, solid waste, and the other one would be for yeah.
And it may or may not be inside that fenced enclosure that is the drop-off site as it's called. So there are still answers, but I don't think that we do this behind anybody's back because we're afraid of that. We need to get the whole thing registered. We'll find out Thursday morning how it shakes out.
Okay.
So this is really just to give the supervisor the ability to kick this thing out of the I guess I'm good. So you're gonna have to be right on top of whatever comes out of Thursday meeting.
Yeah, or the supervisor designee.
And it's not just kicking down the road, but it's to execute documents, to make applications to DC.
Move along.
Yeah.
Let's kick it down the road.
Kicking down the road like we're not that.
Without any further discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. I have a series of resolutions here connected to the grants that we're looking to apply for. The first one, the resolution of support and authorization for the town of Seneca Falls 2021 New York State Consolidated Funding Application, New York Canal State Corporation Canal Grants. Town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County supports the submission of the 2021 CFA application on behalf of the town for the Canalway Grants Program for canal-related capital projects for the Cuba Seneca Canal, initiated support the recent downtown successful revitalization initiative. The New York State Canal put up the $1 million for competitive grants, whereas the town of Seneca Falls was recognized as a DRI initiative community, maintains the federal and state recognized historic central business district and the banks of the Cuba. Whereas the funding to receive will allow the town of Seneca Falls to proceed with its revitalization strategies. Therefore, be it resolved, the town board on behalf of the town identifies the town supervisor as the authorized representative for the project, able to execute necessary documents related to and required for this application. Be it further resolved, the town board does hereby authorize and obligates local matching funds of the maximum 50% of the total of any grant funding awarded up to $75,000 to include federal, local, private, and other agency state funding in kind services and donations. Can I have a motion for this resolution, please?
So moved.
And second, please. Second. Second by Councilman Avery. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We have a consolidated funding application, New York State Canal Corporation, secret resolution type 2 action related to the grant application, whereas the town of Seneca Falls herein referred to as the town board has completed an application to New York State CFA under New York State Canal Corporation for canal-related capital projects. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby classify the above resting action to be a type 2 action under 6 New York CRR section 617.5 of the secret regulation. Be it further resolved that type 2 actions are not subject to further review. Be it finally resolved that the town board is making this classification has satisfied the procedural requirements under secret and direct the resolution to be placed and file this action. The motion for this, please. I second it. Again, this is just, Emily, the follow-up to that application requirement, correct?
Yes, this is the Canalway grant, and this is, these are what you want to be doing to show that you are shovel-ready and active.
So the secret resolution as presented, this is a type 2 action, meaning that's the end of the environmental review. That's all you have to do. And this does fall squarely within this this particular regulation that provides for this exemption.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Third resolution is to support authorization for the town
of Seneca Falls 2021 New York State CFA application, local waterfront revitalization program.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
We're doing waterfront. I was gonna say, when you get to GIGP, you guys have already passed this. You don't have to read through the whole thing, but local waterfront.
We do.
Do you want me to read through it?
Sure.
Okay. Town of Seneca Falls, Seneca County supports the District 2001 consolidated funding application on behalf of the town for the local waterfront revitalization program with the preparation of a plan to create a focused strategy in the areas impacted by the city of the canal. Whereas New York State Department of State is soliciting applications to the CFA from eligible towns from New York State designated waterland to advance the preparation of strategies for community and waterfront revitalization. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls is recognized as a downtown revitalization initiative community in 2019, maintains a federal and state recognized historic central business district on the banks of the Seneca Canal, with acres of historic architectural assets, shopping services, and recreational amenities. And whereas if funding is received, it will allow the town of Seneca Falls to prepare a local waterfront revitalization strategy centers on its strategic canal side location. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board on behalf of the town identifies the town supervisor as the authorized representative of this project, able to execute necessary documents relative to and as required for this application, and be it further resolved the town board is hereby authorized to allocate local match funding of the minimum 25% of the total of any grant funding awarded in the form of in-kind services cash contribution thereby appropriated from the general fund, and be it further resolved that the town of Seneca Falls recognizes and fully supports the 2021 CFA for the preparation of local water revitalization program.
Nikki, you get
You're like the end of a drug ad. If you take this, your leg might fall out.
I'll make a motion that we accept that resolution. Have a second, please. Second.
I didn't get the third paragraph.
Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. There's also a secret that goes with this. Whereas the town of Seneca Falls Town Board is completing an application to the New York State Consolidated Funding Application and for presentation of the local waterfront revitalization plan. Now therefore it resolved that the town board is hereby classify the above reference action to be a type 2 action under 6 New York CRR. Be it further resolved that type 2 actions are not subject to further review in part 617 of the secret regulations. Be it finally resolved that the town board is making this classification and satisfy the procedure requirements under secret and directs this resolution to be placed in the file on this action. No motion for this, please. Second. And who made the motion? I guess Mike did. And seconded by Dave. Okay. Yeah, similar.
Same thing, same regulation, same procedure.
Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? And finally, as Emily said, I'm not going to go through this one. This is just to give approval to reapply for the Green Innovation Grant Program. We approved this before. If people remember, we had a committee of Joe, Tulo, Doug, and myself looking at upgrading our water meters in the 21st century to try to save on water waste and become more efficient, and not having to approve credits at the end of the month, every month, like we're going to be doing here in a few minutes, et cetera, et cetera. Again, we agreed last year that if we get the funding, then we can look forward to doing the project. Okay? And so this is just reaffirm our approval to move forward with that grant. I make a motion that we move forward with the GIP grant. Any second, please?
Second.
And any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Lo and behold, make a motion that we approve $1,759.14 in water credits to 4 different properties.
Mike?
Yes.
I have a question. The last 2 don't have receipts that they were fixed, repaired. It says they are, but there's no receipts.
Sarah, can you help me out?
If they fix them themselves, sometimes they don't have receipts. It says if they have one to submit it. So there are some people that just fix it themselves and they don't have a receipt.
But
Or
we're
they
also,
have,
would be ineligible to get another credit like this.
yeah, it's
Going
once in a
forward.
lifetime. So if they use it
Yeah.
now, they won't be able to get is put on their account when they get it and who it was granted to. There's adjustments and it goes in the file.
Okay, so that's what our assumption would be with these last two, that they all were in the repair.
Yep, if they filled out the form and signed it, then it's repaired. They basically probably had the parts or it was something just to fix the lawsuit or something. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Along that line, so with COVID-19 and executive orders and so forth and so on, we're required to be sending out notices to our property owners and about waiving penalties on late payment for their water bills. Okay? Even though the executive orders disappeared, after working with Pat and Sarah, we determined that this is in effect for the next 6 months. So Sarah has prepared an awful lot to get us to this point. I just want to give you the heads up that we're going to be moving forward with that. And we got to get letters mailed or copied and printed and mailed out. But basically, when you get your next water bill, you'll be getting some notification in there saying these are your rights due to COVID-19 type of situation. Okay. Is that accurate? Yes, very good. Thanks. Sarah, we're moving forward.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, I have a couple of FYIs. First of all, we need to make an appointment, a board liaison to the Seneca Falls Heritage Commission. We do not have a board liaison for that. So I'm looking for a volunteer. Doug? Thank you. So I'd like to make
Area Commission.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that Doug Avery be the town board liaison to the Heritage Commission. Have a second for that, please? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. I'd like to entertain moving the meetings back to the town hall. We talked about this a couple of months ago, or we still want to keep it here. It would be likely to be a little bit easier for some people filming, Nikki, so forth, if we're back to the town hall. Any comments?
Do we ask them?
Huh?
Do we ask them?
I didn't ask anyone.
It doesn't change anything for us, but it does never ask for these folks.
People in attendance, would you mind it back at the town hall? Kathy, you would mind it?
I want to be back in town hall.
Nikki, would you mind it?
We'll be back. Town hall.
You're going to be back home.
Yes.
One of the stipulations, we got to start the meeting at 6 o'clock. You can't be running your office and having back, all right? I'll make a motion to go back to town hall.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You probably noticed on the corner of 89 and Barrett Street Extension, the property that was demolished back in February 2 years ago has been cleaned up. It's kind of a convoluted situation. Basically, legislation was introduced at the county level last week or 2 weeks ago to change the local law that right now on the books, there's a local law at the county level that in order for you to get a demolition permit issued by the county, your taxes have to be current. Legislation was introduced. It came out of committee. There's going to be a public hearing in July 27th to change the local law, which I think there's support on the board to change.
For any permit.
Pardon me?
Any permit. Not just a demolition, building permit.
I'm not sure if it's both building and demolition. I can't remember. Is it both buildings?
Operating permits.
Okay. So anyway, So I've been in contact with the Cuban Nation on a lot of different reasons and different levels, trying to sit down and negotiate different things, especially since the Supreme Court has refused to listen, take the case. So basically, the land and trust issue is done and over with. It can't go any further. So the properties that they own in their area will remain off the tax. Okay? There's no more place to play it.
Well, they're on the tax rolls. They just don't pay their taxes.
Right.
I think that's.
So what I'm trying to say is that either this year or next year, nobody's going to be issuing them a tax bill anymore. Okay, right now the county makes whole the town of Seneca Falls for back taxes. They make the school district whole for unpaid taxes. Okay, with the end of this fight going on, there's still, that question will become moot whenever that's decided, that the county will not have to make the localities, municipalities whole on their taxes. Okay? So it's out there, but going back to the cleanup, so even though I informed them of what was going on, working closely with the nation's, one of the nation's associates, she called me at 2 o'clock last Monday and said, Mike, I can't do anything about it. Clint wants to make a point, and the cleanup began. Okay? So illegally, because the it's still on the books, and apparently at the county level, they kind of went back and forth and basically said it's cleaned up. They're going to be fined in violation of our local law, but the job is never closed down. The good news, it's cleaned up. It was a mess, and I was always in favor of trying to work out something to get it cleaned up. Supervisors from other parts of the county don't live in Seneca Falls, so they could care less that it was a mess. We had the park there, we have residences there. It was an embarrassment to our community, I think. So the good news is cleaned up, the bad news, it was done illegally, and now you know as much as I know. Brad?
With that said, you're saying they don't have to pay their taxes going forward. Why we as taxpayers, part of the general fund, we pick up their garbage each and every Tuesday? I think 55 different parcels. Why does this board say no longer?
Well,
they don't pay taxes with the general fund.
Again, I'm not a lawyer. No, you certainly can pass any resolution. It won't stick, and if you want to.
Why wouldn't it stick? They don't pay taxes. Let them pay their own.
Well, as I was saying, this question has been proposed to the legal counsel for the county, which, by the way, was the lawyer from New York City who has prepared the brief for the Supreme Court. He has argued over 50 cases in the Supreme Court. Okay? Wait a minute, let me just finish. Okay? His opinion and the county's attorney's opinion is you don't have a choice. You have to provide the services, fire protection, police protection, garbage pickup, any service you provide to any other resident, you have to provide it to them. So if this board, by a majority, decides that they want to cut off the water and sewer,
they pay their water and sewer fund.
Sometimes.
It's the garbage that's part of the general fund, which we as taxpayers pay.
Absolutely, we pay to send their children to school too. Yep. I know.
Hey Brad, I can try this on my camera from Army. It's a chief of Canada, one of their tribes. And their land, they started their own landfill.
We're rolling over once.
Well, I'm just saying, they can start their own landfill.
So we're not going to be reimbursed for, how much is going to come off the tax roll?
The total evaluation, as we currently speak, what they currently own, $11 million. That's the property evaluation.
And we're not being reimbursed going forward.
I can't say that for 2022, but that will happen. And here's the other thing. As you well know, they're going to start knocking on people's doors
who are in that area, say, hey, Pat, you want to sell your property? I'll give you a couple $100,000 more than you want.
Is this the county doesn't want to issue tax bills so they don't reimburse the town? Because historically, the state had been reimbursing the county. So now, is that what it's
That's just got to be resolved, and at the county level, we petition our federal representatives to compensate the town of Seneca Falls for this. So that's all out there, okay? At the county level, the state never makes the county whole 100%. I think last year they were short $3 million. So the county fits that part of the bill.
So if this falls in place, and $11 million comes off the tax roll, and this board isn't taking any action, shame on us.
What do you mean, Brett? I'm sorry.
Picking up their garbage. Maybe we shouldn't pay for our pickup. I don't, what's good for one is good for the other.
Again, if there's a board member that wants to make that resolution, I will not support it because I'm not in support of trying to create more legal problems. Then we've been fighting legal problems for 40 years. 40 years. And the only one that benefited from them was the lawyers. I'm not going to support it. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. I would never support it. Shame on me. Shame on me.
I'm talking to the full board. It's just $11 million.
Okay. I was just an FYI. More to come. Yeah.
You skipped G, budget modifications.
I did. We got buried right here in front of me. Sorry. Thanks, Bill. See, that's why I told you you need to come.
Okay.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 14 budget modifications that Deb shared with all of you, and I need a motion to accept these. Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. These are different transfers of money and so forth to the budget. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sorry about that, Bev. Get that there in my hand.
I'd like to request, could we get a list of our chart of accounts so that it adds a little meaning to where that money's coming from and where it's going to? Is there a list?
Yeah, I made one and told you guys about last year, and it's still sitting in my office. I got office folder.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, as I mentioned, the Budget Committee continues to work. Bev has sent you different scenarios. I kind of need some direction on how you want to move forward. One of the scenarios, I think number 3, looks at using a combination of, reducing landfill revenue by about $330,000 on a sliding scale. Also using taxpayer relief funds to supplement that and increase in taxes. And the whole idea of this is to get the town free of landfill revenue in the operating budget. Also, are we talking about looking at me sitting down with department people, talking about staff reductions? Do you want to approach the idea that benefits, start looking at reducing benefits? Right now we pay 90% of health insurance to our current employees. These are things I need direction on. So I'll open it up.
I thought we were going to start cutting the benefits again when we came budget time. We cut this year, we're going to cut again next year.
We didn't cut this year. We passed a resolution for new hires, but not for current employees.
I'd like to propose, rather than do this right now, we can essentially just, if everybody else read the scenarios, I didn't have a chance to look through every one of these spreadsheets. I'd like to propose that we have a budget workshop within this month. And we get together and for that specific purpose of discussing this piece of paper and other ideas.
Pat, budget workshop, public meeting?
Yes, if you're gonna have more than, if you're gonna have 3 or more board members.
I mean, we have them in the fall, let's, we're talking until we kind of started with this. We already had one budget meeting, we ought to have another budget meeting to discuss this here. Yeah, I agree.
You agree?
Let's focus on this.
It's just, you know, we're moving up the process.
Okay, wait for calendars. July. First, second, third. Look at the last week of July, let's start there. Does that work with the last week of July? Then we can figure out a date. How about Monday, July 6th? I'm sorry, 27th.
6 o'clock.
Does that work? John?
Yes.
Doug? Dave? Yep.
Monday, it might be,
Work?
I'll have to look.
And it's just Tuesday.
Tuesday would not work for me.
Board, I have a week is Wednesday.
Hmm?
Board is Wednesday and Thursday during the day that week.
Tuesday night would not work for me because I got a council.
So Monday looks like it's
Monday.
Let's tentatively go with Monday the 26th. At the, if we have, if there's court, we can come here, okay? So 6 o'clock, would you make that
Far as
public
that-
notice, please?
As far as I know, like I said, the 28th and 29th is court.
Okay.
Budget workshop, right?
Budget workshop. Am I asking here? All right. And I'm just going to make sure I had no other FYI. Okay, I'm going to make a motion that we pay the bills for the month of June.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great evening, folks. Thanks for coming.